Well, let's go ahead and clip this part in where I say, hey, Lucas, we're starting right now. All right. OTG podcast listeners, we are back. You know what, Phil? We've talked about this before. We're back is what I was trying to say. Now, in that thought, you know what I like is how we all start it different every time. And I'm going to go ahead and, what's going on? I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Phil was trying to copy me on the shirt, but my shirt's brand new and his is old. So there's no comparison.
I don't have any new OTG shirts.
And let's not pretend this shirt doesn't look good on me, man. Lucas, can we get some zoom and focus on that?
I'm going to say the hair too is pretty similar.
So hold on. I love you, Phil. All right. Man.
I was waiting to see what he was going to say.
Well, guys, so we got our it's actually our second. So Lucas has been on twice, but he's only one guest, right? So we got our second ever very special guest. This is our man Colton, and I actually just met Colton today, and we're gonna get along great. Welcome to the podcast, Colton.
Man,
is it Cockerell?
It is Cockerell. Look at that.
Colton Cockerell.
Yes, sir. 2 E's. Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here. Y'all have the coolest setup I think I've ever seen in a podcast studio.
Massive facility.
I mean, my gosh, it took me for about a mile just to walk to the room.
Yeah. I always tell listeners it's like 2 million square feet or something
just
like
about
that?
Something like that.
It's actually
I like the driving range too.
Yeah, it's pretty
bowling
sweet,
alley.
right?
Did you bowling alley on your way?
You need something to do on the work breaks.
I got you. Makes plenty of sense.
Mm-hmm. Man, so let's get this baby rolling. That was a little bit of standard OTG podcast banter right there, but we're gonna get some actual what would you call it? Some actual content, and then we're gonna go back to the banter.
I love it.
So we got Colton Cockerell on, and Colton is a friend of Phil and a friend of OTG, and Colton, I'm gonna give you the mic here. I'm gonna give you the floor. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Little quick backstory, where you came from, who you are now, what you do, and then we'll roll from there, man. We'll kind of
where I came from. Okay, well,
I'm just talking about in life.
Okay, I'm making sure.
Not
I just
specifically.
Want to clarify.
Not like give me your address. Or anything.
All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
But if you want to, I got it.
Yeah, man. So let's see. I'm right there, close to 30. Been a financial advisor. I know I'm pushing the limits.
I am 30.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
And my hip's been hurting ever since. My hip's been bothering me ever since. Actually, went to chiropractor. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, my mom's a chiropractor, so I never have those issues. It's fantastic.
I got to get me one of those.
Step ahead of the curve.
Mom chiropractor.
Yeah.
Damn it, Mom. What? My mom's a nurse. Why can't you be a
That's
chiropractor?
not too bad. Hey, that's important too.
Well, I guess she could refer me.
Yeah, there you go. Right now, a specialist. Yeah, so 29. Been a financial advisor now for about 8 years. Love it. Graduated. Went to multiple colleges. I went to multiple colleges. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. All right.
And so starting off, everyone always asked me, well, how'd you figure out what you want to do? And I said, well, I really didn't know. I jumped in, thought I wanted to do business. So I started down that track, did all my basics because I had no idea what to do. Horrible idea. You got to mix in your basics and your bachelor's because basics are simple. Bachelor's is more advanced, right? So so did all that, figured out I wanted to be a financial advisor, actually made that decision in Israel out of all places, met a guy.
Okay.
Yeah, went on a trip there, met a guy.
Were you just like vacationing?
No, it was my church. We
okay, so you were church.
Yep, checked it out. It was...
I still need to go there, by the way. Our church goes every year, and Jessica and I have never been, but...
it's the coolest experience, right? So we went there. The guy the president of the company now, he kind of walked up to me. What do you do? I was a waiter at Cheesecake Factory at the time, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cheesecake. That's a banter. Save that for banter. I got good stories from Cheesecake Factory.
Can you label that, Lucas? Put banter on the screen.
Cheesecake is important.
Yeah, cheesecake.
It is, especially when you're working out, right? It's a good healthy fat, right?
Something like that.
Sure. Gluten free or something like that.
Yeah,
totally.
0 calorie,
no sugar,
full of protein, but no calories.
Absolutely, totally. It's like an avocado. So so did that. Then I started working at the company, Sharon McKinley Group, and 8-9 years later, I'm an unofficial partner. And so we're just making things happen for our clients.
Man, so let's back up a little bit. So if you're 29 and you've been a financial advisor for 8 years, that means at 21,
at the end of 20,
you either were or were becoming a financial advisor. Right. That is awesome, and that seems very young. I mean, your experience with colleagues and coworkers and stuff, is that pretty young?
I've never met somebody younger than me who did what. Now, I'm not saying they don't, because I know people who graduate now they can get a degree in financial planning. Like that wasn't offered to me. I didn't have that option. So there are younger people out there, but yeah, I started really just in kind of an admin role, just doing that. And I loved what I did because I don't want to just jump into it unless I'm positive. So after like learning how you do it, realizing that you're making relationships and you're making money by helping other people make money. I mean, I was like, that sounds like a no-brainer, right? So
that sounds pretty sweet.
Right. So you pull the trigger. I pulled the trigger on it and got licensed when I was about 22. And then, I started my own book at like 23, 24. And then 3 years down the road after that, the president said, hey man, look, let's combine our books under one rep code. Let's just we'll find a split and let's just make it happen. We'll just service all clients together. I mean, it's great. So in my career, I've really seen a lot of legit steps up, which is good because I think a lot of the time people are so lost on, well, am I progressing in my career? Am I not? So like I've seen those steps. So I'm blessed because of that, and I love it. And I already know what's going to happen in the next few years. Hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to buy the book from the president of the company, and then I will be the face of Share Cockerell Group. So, see what I did there?
Yeah, I like that.
So this man has a vision.
Foreshadowing.
You
have to call that right?
Yes.
Or is it a simile or a metaphor? Remember when we talked about that on the show?
Now
doesn't have anything to do
deep.
with this. But
I think we got to bring Lucas in here for that one.
Lucas, can we snip that in? So man, Colton. So 21, we covered that. That's fairly young. Is there such thing as the opposite of a financial advisor? Because that was me at 21.
Yeah.
If you listened to every word that came out of my mouth when I was 21,
and you did the opposite,
you'd probably be making a lot of money and have your life together right now.
So instead of investing your bonuses, you spend it all and.
Oh, dude. Yeah. We're not going to get it. We can get into that another time. But man, so at 21, dude, you're becoming a financial advisor. Now you're deeply rooted and involved enough with the. Do you call it a company when you're?
Yeah. It's a firm company.
A firm. Yeah. I was gonna use the word firm. Yeah. So you're deeply involved and eventually going to purchase it. Is what you're getting.
That's the game plan. I mean, granted, anything can happen, right? But that's kind of the idea. That's what's on the horizon. Granted, I'm not going to be pushing them out anytime soon.
Yeah,
it's nice having them along, but eventually, like you want to. That's kind of what you want in a financial advisor.
Absolutely.
You got clients who are 50, 60, and then you have someone retiring potentially at 60, 70. Yeah. So you're wanting to make sure that there are steps in place where that if something does happen to the older financial advisor, there's contingencies set in place because you want to make sure that there's no interruption, especially if you're about to retire, if you need income and all that stuff. You always want to have a point of contact. So I really think that's a big piece whenever you're trying to work with a financial advisor. Always make sure that the people that you're working with, that they do have a contingency plan because, man, you don't want to be in a position where they just sell the book and you don't even know the person they sold it to, and now you're having to make a new relationship or find a new one, right? So, you
see a lot of that, and I think Phil and I covered this on an episode one time. You see a lot of I'm going to use the word professionals and all. I mean, not just financial advising, business building, fitness, you name it. See a lot of these pros on the internet talking about all this advice and all this knowledge that they have, and if you did a little bit of digging, you'd probably realize that that they don't have any product. They don't have any stake in the game. They don't have any experience with what they're selling.
It happens in fitness. I'm sure you know too, and we'll get into your fitness part of your life as well. But man, you see a ton of that in fitness where people are just saying this and saying that. But if you really dig deep, there's really not a whole lot going on there.
So I always say you don't want an overweight personal trainer. You don't want a barber with a bad haircut, but you really don't want a financial advisor that's in debt up to his eyeballs. Exactly. That's even worse. That's going to be my new saying from now on. Yeah. So, all right, Colton, broad brushstroke here. You're 29 years old. You're a financial advisor. Would be like a 30,000 foot view. What would you consider your specialty? Because there's a lot of different niche. Is that the word? Is that a word?
Yeah, that's the word.
Is that a word?
Niche.
A lot of different niche. Is it a niche?
Niche.
I say niche.
I'm good with both.
There's a lot of different facets.
And I think I understand where you're getting at.
Financial advisors. So people, I'm sure there's focus on people that are young that want to build something exponentially faster. Maybe you have your group that's a little bit older that's making sure, they have their ducks in a row. That way they can rest easy when they do retire, that they're going to not have to go back to work and so forth. So what would you consider your specialty?
Yeah, so really we focus on a pie. We call it the holistic financial planning process. And so our main aspect obviously is investing. So myself and Tim Scher, the owner of the company, we're both certified financial fiduciaries. It's a designation that we got, meaning we have to act as a fiduciary at all times. Lucas, probably I see the look in your eye. Fiduciary. The definition of that is a person. That is a person.
It's like he didn't call me out.
A person who you have to act in the client's best interest at all times above your own, right? So the best example I like to give, if you have two, let's say mutual funds, right? Mutual fund A, B, they both might be suitable for what you're trying to do. Phil, you want to do something aggressive. Both of these are aggressive funds. However, I don't have to tell you that A, I get paid more versus B, right? I don't have to tell there's a higher commission. That's in a suitable relationship. As a fiduciary, I have to not only tell you, hey, both of these are suitable, but also guess what? I actually get paid a little bit more here. This is how I get paid, and this is how I get paid here, where I have to give you enough information for you to make an educated decision if you were in my shoes, right? Me knowing everything. So we did that because, you really have a kind of a target on your back, because how do you define best interest, right? How do you have the client's best interest in mind?
I feel like that could get complicated quick.
But that's why we are very selective with the people you work with, because you got to make sure that you trust them, but they also trust you, right? That's what's so cool, is that really it's an interview process both ways when you sit down with somebody. Yeah. And that makes it so much nicer, because you really have a great client base that you work with. Yeah.
Man, in the 11 minutes we've been talking, you say financial advisor. Oh yeah, financial advisor. It's a thing, right? People do it. It's a job, and there's good ones, and I'm sure there's not so good ones. But I've never really sat down and thought about how complicated it could get, and how quickly that could happen. And also fiduciary, I didn't even know that was a word.
So one of the first things that, because Colton and I met in a networking group, and one of the first things that I noticed, because being someone that is really into finance myself, I was always, doing my own research, trying to make sure I'm set up financially and, all that good stuff. And a lot of stuff that I read, it would always say, hey, there's a difference between an advisor and a fiduciary. And you were actually the first person that I ever met that introduced themselves as a fiduciary. And I was like, whoa, I've read about this.
Unicorn. Hey.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, this guy, it's different. And it really is. In the financial world, it seems to be a step above.
Less common? Is it quite a bit less common?
So I don't have the current stats, but as of when I got it back in 2019, I believe is when it was, there was about 0.003% of with the designation that are not fiduciaries, but 0.003% had that designation of financial advisors in the country.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying that advisors that don't have the designation are not working as a fiduciary in a fiduciary capacity. I'm not saying that at all.
Right. In a fiduciary way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, I understand.
I'm just saying we got a designation where, if someone took us to court, they're supposed to have my best interest in mind. This is how they did not have my best interest, and we would have to defend why that it was in the client's best interest.
Do you have some special letters that go after your name?
Sadly, no. It's so I wanted to yes, right? It's not the CFF. I wanted that, but no, we have to have it Colton Cockerell - certified financial fiduciary.
Oh, wow.
Which I still get it, but
I had to go CFF.
Yeah, I know, right?
You can't make an acronym?
I can't. That was that was my biggest thing. I'm like, well, hang on.
Weak.
Come on.
Yeah.
Who do we write a letter to? Lucas, figure out who we complain to about that.
The NACFF.
Done.
NACFF. All right, they're on my list here.
Yeah.
I'm coming after a few people. The people with OTG.Lucas, the people with OnePerfectShot.com, and now the NACFF. All right, they're on Daryl's poop list. All right. I should just say the cuss word because I cuss all the time on here.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
So you touched it a little bit, Phil. Colton, how did you get introduced to OTG? And I guess Phil is OTG, but how did this come about? And tell us a little bit about y'all's relationship at this point.
Yeah, so Phil, like Phil said, we met in a networking group, and again, we crossed paths maybe a couple times. It wasn't like we saw each other all the time. Anytime I see a young individual in a group like that, I always am drawn to them, not to capture them as a client necessarily, but because I truly like to see young people succeed. Phil's older than me, but he's still young.
Damn it.
I know. So Phil...
He's older than me too.
All right, I'm out.
So Phil and I, we connected one day. He actually asked me to come out to the gym, so I did. I like the facility. I'm really excited again that it's growing. I heard that y'all got some new space. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, it's double size.
Yeah, double.
That's awesome. Nice. That's so cool to hear. And so he was explaining not only OTG's not a fitness, or it's not a a gym, it's a brand. And so I had to think about that for a second. Okay, what does that actually mean? And before I could think about it, he then launched into what it is. And so he was explaining the lifestyle behind it. And I was like, you know what, that makes so much sense. Like, I know there's so many gyms out there and it's just a gym membership, but what if I could sell you a gym lifestyle? I thought that was very fascinating.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I always have put him in mind, because not only are you not looking for everyone, you have a very specific group of people you're looking for, which is perfect. Again, a niche. Lucas, what did we decide? Niche or niche? Niche. Okay, niche.
Lucas said niche.
Niche it is.
Thou shall use niche.
So, and I think that is so cool, because again, I think a lot of people get so stuck up in, I'm going to take on anybody I can. No, I want to make sure I have the right person, because what I specialize in is perfect for this type of person. I think that is the key to actually growing a client base and actually like being successful in your job. So, so we talked about it. I loved what he did, because I could basically replicate that with what I'm doing. I'm like, well, I see the same thing. And so, we just hit it off. And ever since then, like, we don't go golf every week or work out together, but we if he texts me or calls, like, we touch base, because again, if he's calling me about something, it's usually something important, and vice versa, because
keep in touch and recommend each other. If
absolutely,
like say you had somebody who had financial needs and you had somebody and vice versa. And it's crazy how, and I'm going to talk about my experience a little bit. It's crazy how, and this is my point of view, and not like, I don't know how common it is, but like when I really dial in my fitness, and I have several months in a row where I'm flawless on my diet, I'm flawless in the gym, and I'm really, you get in a rhythm. And whenever that happens, I find myself watching and maintaining and growing my finances and my investments a lot better as well. Yeah. And vice versa. When I take some time and I'm feeling good about my finances, and I move some money around and do whatever I need to do to make it, to move the needle a little bit in the right direction, it fuels my fire to want to be in better shape. It's the weirdest thing. And I thought I was the only one the other day, or until the other day I was talking to my wife, and she was like, whenever I'm making sure I'm hitting the gym and I'm making sure I'm getting all my meals down. And, she basically said what I just said. She was like, it really motivates me to make sure my finances are in the right place too, and make sure I'm watching it and I'm not overspending and everything that goes along with that.
I think that it's a fire that builds for overall self-improvement.
I agree.
So, yeah. And not to put money in a bad light, but money is important to our life. It's important to the decisions that we make. It's important to our future. So if we want to be better, if we have more money saved, we have more money invested, not to make that doesn't mean I'm a better person than someone else, but it means that I'm fulfilling my duty of being the best person that I can be. I am being the greatest version of myself if my finances are in line.
And
do you agree?
And I do. And there's really 4 aspects of that I think that, we're all hitting on the same thing here. If you are working out and you're eating healthy, so if you're caring about your well-being, then that fuels the finances. Like you said, if you're doing well, you're making educated decisions, because again, you feel good, right? So like, okay, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let me dig into this. Let me research some more. Okay, I like this. Let me find a financial advisor. I think it all starts with the health aspect, and then it also pours into relationships, right? Then it also pours into, relationships, health, wealth, and then oh my gosh, there's one more that I always talk about, and I just blanked on it. But all those aspects are so important, because I think that it's not just everything's not just separated. Everything is together and it grooves together. There's overlap. So absolutely,
synergy.
Yes,
is the word that I like to use.
Synergy.
Lucas, is that a real word? No. So it starts to, the way I describe it is, it starts to bleed like into other areas of your life. So you got your life is this circle, and you get that one part and you're really hitting on all cylinders. It starts to bleed over, and it, like Phil said, it makes you want to be the greatest version of yourself overall as a whole.
Well, so perfect example, you wake up at let's say 5:30, 6 a.m., you go hit the gym. You just woke up.
I did that today.
Okay, well, there you go. So then you feel good afterwards. You're wide awake. You
dude.
feel you're energized. So what do you want to do? You want to go knock it out at work. You want to go do your best because you feel good. You're not just rolling out of bed. And then what does that do? That increases your wealth, right? Because you're busting your butt. You're figuring out ways in your spare time instead of being on your phone. Hey, what can I do?
More valuable.
Exactly. And then in the evening when you come home to your wife, you're still energized. You've done all this stuff.
Feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And so your relationship with your wife gets better. And then again, you go out with friends, whatever it may be. So it really is just a circle, a synergy.
It's a niche synergy.
Yeah. So if people say that, hey, I have relationship issues, well, maybe that's not necessarily the point. Maybe you probably need to work out or do something where actually you have more energy, or maybe all the anger that you have built up can get burnt off. Some steam can be released, right? So I think it really does all center around health, because I always tell people, yes, money is very important in life, right? But you got a lot of people who they get to the point where they're retiring and their health is not there. So what are they going to do with this money? They can't travel. They're just basically living,
spending on doctor's appointments and trying to stay alive.
We always say that no matter what, at the end of the day, you're going to pay for your health somehow.
Exactly.
And at some time, you're either going to do it now by paying to invest in yourself and take care of yourself.
Whether that be time or money,
or both. Usually it's a small combination of both. Yeah. But you could do it with no money. For sure. It might be a little bit harder and stuff, but at the end of the day, you're going to pay for your health eventually.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah. I mean, I buy supplements, so I pay now to buy supplements to stay healthy. And then again, I work out, so that is time.
Gym membership.
Yeah. But again, it's stuff it should be a necessity. Yes. Just like saving for retirement should be a necessity, so should working out. And again, you guys are the pros, right? I mean, it's small steps. I mean, just do something where you can be comfortable, but at least focus on health, right?
That's an idea. You know what? I think we should start our own firm or company, and it should be only the greatest financial and fitness advisors. And somebody comes in and we talk about their finances, and then we go crush a workout all in the same building.
Love it. OTG FFA.
It's FFA, right?
OTG FFA.
They get a free workout.
Rock and roll, man. So I know we've kind of all discussed how we feel about fitness and how it all works together. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Colton, was aside from what we discussed, is there any other way that fitness has influenced your life or your career, or maybe it's changed you for the better in some way throughout your life? Has there been like a turning point from it? Anything along those lines?
Yeah. So I went to a private school growing up. So high school, junior high, private school. So I think I graduated at 135. Like I was a shrimp, right? But I was fast,
shredded,
fast as I'll get out. But shredded. So then I just did not like working out. But then eating healthy, come on, when you're a kid,
teenagers, it's tough.
Absolutely not. And even taking my supplements right now, I didn't do that. My mom always tried to push them on me, but I'm like, nah, I'm not about that. So the turning point was my freshman year of college. This was crazy. I got to college, and then I'm like, you know what?
Did you like move away from home?
Yeah, so I went to College Station.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got there and I'm like, man, this is just, there's like nothing to do. Like it's, there's only so many parties you can go to, and it's like, I don't even want to do that anymore. So then I'm like, well, what can I do? Well, I'm going to start studying. Never in my life did I want to study. I know, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what the heck? And then I was like, well, what else can I do? Oh, I'm going to work out too. So I started working out. And then I started working out twice a day because I was so bored. And then I kind of started like,
hey, whatever it takes to get started.
One piece of fitness advice for listeners at home: get bored.
Get away from the video games. Get away from all that stuff.
Get bored and you'll get fit.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. And so then I started to really get into that. Then I came home. Then I got into CrossFit. CrossFit was fun. I started doing all the OCR, obstacle course races. And I really liked it. I liked the functional move. I just liked moving, it was so good. And I'm somewhat competitive. Yeah. So I like doing stuff in a competitive, again, CrossFit, very competitive. Right. So is the obstacle course races. And then I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I was dating someone seriously. We got engaged and we got married. So it kind of like fell off the wagon with working out. Yeah. And then I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I just need to do something it's something that I can do no matter how busy I am, I know I can knock it out. And then I realized, okay, you know what? I'm going to commit that I'm going to work out 3 times. I'm going to lift weights 3 times a week, 30 minutes. So chest, triceps, back biceps, legs and shoulders is kind of what I told myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to run twice a week with the long run on a Saturday, and that's going to be my workout. Whether that's at 6 a.m. in the morning or 6 p.m. at night, it doesn't matter. It has to get done. I don't even care when throughout the week. It just needs to get done. Right. And so I did that, and that's really what I've been doing. And
so that's kind of where you're at right now.
Yeah. So I like it. I want to get back into CrossFit, but I just can't justify paying the money to go to CrossFit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody's got their own thing. Let's back up a little bit. When you first got to College Station, you tried all the things, you started working out, and then you started working out twice a day. What did that do for you? What did that do for you mentally? Did it make you feel better about yourself, or
no? Yeah. I mean, I was in a good place. I mean, energy wise, it's crazy when you exert energy working out, how much more energy you have throughout the day. Yeah. So, I mean, it's crazy. So the studying aspect, you're clear-minded. Again, I cannot believe I admitted on this mic on this show that I like to study. That was like for a 1-year stint, I promise. And then I came home.
We're never having Colton back. It's over. This guy studies.
But yeah, no, I mean, so everything that you do, you have just a clear mindset. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I like sleeping, but whenever you work out in the morning, that is when I found that is the best time, because when I get home, I get ready for work, my mind is so clear. I have a lot of more ideas on my way to work driving. It's a 30-minute drive. So that's what works best for me. But again, I mean, I know people love working out in the evening and stuff. And I'm not a sports or a workout guru. I don't know what is the best for me. I just know what I've done to be able to make it work.
That's the answer. Whatever you do consistently, and
whatever
when
fits your lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever
I'm trying to get biceps like Phil, and I haven't.
Even,
you need an OTG shirt like this one.
Oh, that's probably it.
Our secret is we make the sleeves extra small.
Extra small.
And people think that we're jacked, but these are just extra small sleeves.
Hey, I have a question. When you were 20 years old, 130, just starting to work out, did you have a hard time? How much do you weigh now?
I weigh 175 right now.
Okay. And what was that road looking like? Like, to be 20 years old, never worked out before. Now you're exerting more, probably burning more calories than you ever have. Well, what was that weight gain process like for you?
Well, it was funny because at 20, I'm like, well, I just want to put on muscle.
Yeah, right? You want to be big.
Yeah, I wanted to be big. You feel these sleeves.
That's all I wanted.
And then I still, I had the 8-pack and everything, because I had a fast metabolism. And then I got to a point where like 8-pack started going away, and I was like, am I getting fat? What is this? And then you have everyone's like, oh no, you look fine. Then finally, honestly, the turning point. My mom, she's my mom.
Yeah,
she's chiropractor.
Dude,
that's cheating.
I
want a chiropractor mom.
She's 55. She's like
now?
Yeah, she's 55 now. Okay. She does American Ninja Warrior. She got her
nationally ranked.
Yes, nationally ranked. Yeah. She got her pro card in bodybuilding at 50. Like Ironman. Like, this woman is ridiculous. So anyway, she called me.
And she can fix your spine.
Yeah, she can. I mean, she called me fluffy one day. And that's what.
Oh my goodness.
That's what did
when
it.
Mom calls you fluffy.
Yes,
you're in a bind.
It flipped the switch, and I'm like, screw that. I'm going to get in shape, and I'm going to show you who's fluffy. And that's really kind of where it came from. So now,
So were you just like trying to eat a lot at that time? You're just eating a lot. Didn't matter what it was.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Honestly, like it was so hard to gain muscle in my low 20s. So hard to gain muscle. So hard to put on weight. I guess my body type, I just could not. I don't know what it was. My metabolism was just flying. Eventually, I got to the point where, okay, I'm not losing weight like I was. I'm actually able to put on weight, not all good weight, but I was able to gain muscle easier too as well. So it's kind of like a catch-22. Like, okay, how do I do this where I can put on the weight, but also make sure it's the right weight? It's muscle versus
stay a little more lean.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of where, again, you're just trying to, what do I do? So having a wife, very nice, because they cook nice organic meals for dinner
nice
and breakfast. So now I'm eating healthier. So
sometimes,
we're still.
I don't know, man. I came over here last weekend, maybe, or was it 2?
Man.
Dude, I walk in and there's these delicious chocolate chip cookies.
She made perfect chocolate chip cookies.
I mean, possibly, dude, the best I've ever had.
Hey, Lucas, can you step out the door and yell in the 2 mile type 2 mile radius?
Let Jessica know to bring Colton some of those cookies.
Just hit her on the intercom.
The PA system.
Yeah, the PA system.
Bring chocolate chip cookies to the studio now, please.
yeah, there you go. That almost sounds like a bomb, like a bomb shelter.
Everybody shelter in place. Lock the doors down.
It's more like moving around your seats. The cabin's.
Yeah. But man, now I'm a pilot.
Yeah, there you are.
Hell
man.
yeah.
Well, you got to fly to the front, you know? Oh, man, I'm crying. It's laughing so hard.
Gosh, this is the best like way to do a podcast. I love it.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
You know, what we found is, you know, Phil's been on a couple of podcasts. I've never even been on somebody else's podcast before. I'm sure I will eventually. Hint, hint. Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. Come on, dude. But I've never been on one. But, you know, everybody's got different style. And, you know, the stuff works, right? Like, especially people that have podcasts that are growing. And I've noticed that the more people, like, times he's been on and the more people we reach out to, they're like, oh, you know, agenda and this and that. And that's good. We do have things that we do. Like I have bullet points right here that we want to make sure certain topics that we cover. But for the most part, who we are this is who we are.
Yeah,
like,
because
this is actually our life. And I feel like if we weren't doing this on camera, it wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be who
and you
we
never
are.
know what's going to come to your mind. If you have too much of an agenda, you know, you're going to miss out on something because ideas come, you know, as you go.
Absolutely.
There's no synergy. It'll come off as robotic.
Yeah.
And you know, if I'm just sitting here reading to you off of a page, like I said, of course there's things that we want to touch on. You know, I don't want to sit here and talk about bowling and astronomy whenever you're a financial advisor, right? That's not your thing. So I don't think it's your things. Are you an astronomer?
Well,
You like to bowl? We can bowl.
Yeah.
I actually minored in astrology. No, I'm just kidding.
Phil's this guy can bowl. This guy can bowl. Well, he's bowled multiple 300s, right?
Yeah.
serious?
Like 8.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
You know, nobody's counting. But
Yeah.
like
Obviously,
8
yeah.
times.
I think it's like 8 exactly. How
Wow.
many?
Well,
Well, in
You know how many
bowling,
times I've
like,
bowled a 300? Never.
I'm with you too.
Yeah.
So
In
we're
bowling-
good.
I don't even think I've hit a 100 before.
I think I've gotten close to 200.
200 's a great score.
No,
hey.
I think
Yeah.
close to 200. like
okay.
160, 180 maybe.
Me too.
Okay.
103, 102.
But that's with the bumpers.
yeah.
Dude, don't tell anybody.
Man, so
No, but yeah, we like to free flow it too, and that's what less structure because at Only the Greatest, like at OTG Fitness, we want people to feel like fitness is not confining them. I know that a lot of people avoid fitness because like, oh man, to be in shape, man, I don't have time to go to the gym 2 hours a day, 6 days a week.
It has to be this. It has to be that.
And eat chicken and broccoli 3 times a day,
Seriously.
egg whites for breakfast, oatmeal, and it's not like
That
that.
sounds like my diet.
Oh, trust me, I eat a lot of those things because it's easy.
It is for me,
because it's
yeah.
easy. But for the general population, you don't have to do that. But because people think that they do, that is a big barrier to entry. So they never even start. And we want people to know that that's not life.
Yeah.
We're here to live and live our best life and come on here and have fun.
Right.
yeah,
Just be free.
we're having fun every time we come in here. And you know, Phil was talking about it a second ago. You know, it's not and like you were saying, you said, hey, I do, you know, I lift 3 days a week and I go on, was it 2 runs? That's what you're doing right now.
Maybe on the runs. It
Yeah.
just depends how I'm feeling.
But what we're getting at is
It's okay.
everybody's
You
different.
can say that you do.
Okay, I do.
Everybody's different, right? And everybody's fitness routine. I mean, of course, there's certain you know ins and outs that you need to follow. You know, burn more than you eat if you want to lose weight and so forth. But like everybody's routine is going to look a little different. Our podcast looks a little different, and I'm sure in the financial advising world, people are in all kinds of different scenarios in life where you know what makes sense for one person financially is not going to be that. It's not going to be the same for me and Phil and Lucas and you and everybody else, right? So you as a personal trainer, gym owner, you as a financial advisor, you got to pivot and you got to know who you're working with.
Yeah, and I mean to add to that, so I mean, you know, if both of you come into the office, you might have a similar, you know, profile, but it's not going to be exactly the same. Just like if me and Lucas walk into OTG, right? You're going to you have the same workout routines you have together, but you're probably going to do something a little bit different for both of us because we either have different body types or because we're at different places with our fitness. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's in everything. You cannot treat everybody like a number. Everybody has to be unique. And again, every time, now we have a process, don't get me wrong. And I know Phil has told me all about the process at OTG.
There's
I know
procedures.
know all about it.
Checklists.
Yeah. So, but people I think get confused with a process equals it's just everyone's the same. It's not
It's
true.
not
at all.
true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the process we go through, like for example, everybody that comes into the office, I mean, if you're typically most of our clients are retirement age, we do take on young people who they're wanting to grow something because in reality, that's not, there's really not, I don't want to say that's not a lot of work. It's just honestly just giving the advice and helping them. But for people who are about to retire, there's a lot of planning that goes into place. So we always offer for people who are about to retire, with complimentary financial plan is the first step before you even do anything. Before you don't write us a check, we have to do a financial plan for everybody because we got to make sure that we understand exactly what we're working with. We can't just hey, we have $1 million. Okay, well, how's that? Like where? Yeah. Well, it's there. Well. What? So what's
that mean?
Yeah, right.
So the savings account, is it in the stock market? Is it in real estate? Is it a combination?
Exactly. So we have to make sure we have all that set up. And so again, you follow the process, and then every process is different. All financial plans have different results, just like every portfolio we put together, profile we put together they're unique to the person because everybody, even if it's very similar, it's still slightly different because nobody is the same. And so again,
it's not cookie cutter.
It's not at all. And I mean, that's how it has to be, going back to what we were talking about when we said that, you just got to continue to grow. You got to continue to do things, have a niche where you have something where you're not delivering something to everybody for a certain type of people, where you have a process that you've created to make sure that it fits for that type of group. And again, the result is going to be different for everybody. But again, it's a niche. And I go back to, you have to have a niche. You can't.
Yeah. And on that note, like I hit up Colton a few weeks ago and I told him, hey, here's what I have going on. Here's what I need. And he was very honest. He was like, hey man, let's meet up for lunch. Let's talk about it. We talked about it. And he's like, hey, like your particular situation is not exactly what I do.
Yeah.
He gave me some really great advice, told me some funds and account types that I did need to know. And that was it. And he was just like, hey, beyond that, your situation, you don't need somebody like me.
Fiduciary, man.
I mean,
hey, being real with you. Look, that's not. He could have made some money. Hey, just write me a check for $5 million, and
I mean, I did get some pho paid for.
Yeah,
true that.
Wow.
Like $7.
This is gonna end up in court. Right. I need to get my bowl of pho back, man. So speaking of advice, all right, I got one last I guess show question for you before we banter some more. If this is a generic, broad question.
I don't like how you're setting it up.
If you had to give one piece of financial advice for the listeners, what would it be?
Okay, well,
generally speaking.
Okay, so I'm assuming that the most people listening to this podcast are probably in their what?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. Either,
there's millions of them.
honest.
Hundreds of millions of people listening.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
And they're all jacked.
Man, I bet. Well, when I was on Joe Rogan's podcast,
Man, he tried to get me on, but I was like, dude, I'm really busy, dude. I got stuff going on.
yeah, no. So, well, for younger individuals, the power of compound interest is huge, right? So starting when you're young is big. And again, I'm not telling you to do this, but a good tool, a Roth IRA, obviously. Again, you're putting money in after tax. If you have $100,000 you're making, you put in $6,000. You don't get the tax deduction that a traditional IRA gets.
Nice.
You can do the research on all that, but the thing is, earnings on Roth IRAs are tax free. So really, if you put in the max contribution every single year for 30 years, you're going to have a large amount of money that's tax free. Right, that you can access, so you don't have to pay taxes on it. Which you love it.
Yeah.
So that's for a young person. For somebody who's later in years, who are
like 30.
Okay, let's say they're like.
Thanks. I consider myself later in years. We're both 30.
Sorry, Phil. So someone who's looking to potentially retire, I always recommend you want to start talking to somebody, fairly quickly. Just because you want to make sure that, again, you have a plan in place. I think a lot of people, the two mistakes that we see, people are either too aggressive going into retirement or they're too conservative. We invest in a very unique way. I won't bore you to death here on the podcast, but if you are too conservative and you go into retirement, well, there's a lot of, let's say that you have, $10 million. You're probably not going to blow through $10 million and you could probably have sitting in the bank, right? However, what about that money that, your heirs could have received if you had it invested properly, right? In a way that works both for you and, again, for the future, what this money is going to do. Same thing for people who are super aggressive. We saw that in 2008. People are just focusing growth funds, and then they're about to retire. Right before they retire, the stock market drops, 30, 40, 50%. And now they're left holding the bag, and they're like, well, am I going to retire off of half of what I had that I thought I was going to have, or do I just go back to work? You know, that we had clients actually that came in. This is before my time, but Sharon McKinley Group was still open. Tim still was running the show. He gained a lot of clients during that time because again, they were devastated. They had to go back to work for 3, 4, 5 more years. So I think you have to have a plan before you make the decision, hey, I'm going to retire. And also doing a financial plan ahead of time, you'll actually have an idea of, hey, can I retire in 3 years based on the assets I have and based on what I'm going to save, based on the goals, me having $60,000 a year, based on my Social Security, all this stuff, can I retire? And if you have a plan and you go through it, you can actually have a pretty good picture of, oh, look, I can, or okay, it's going to be close. Maybe I work one more year, you know,
taking the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So why I hear a lot like, hey, if I have $1 million, am I going to be able to retire? Well, it depends. Like, what do you
how long do you plan on living?
Right. And what are you wanting to do with this? You're going to go buy a
yacht?
Yeah. Right. What do you, I don't think
Yacht. Yes.
Yeah. So,
it's all relative.
I do. Can we loop back around if you don't mind?
Circle back.
Yes, there you go. Circle back. Sorry. Because you're talking about the Roth IRA.
Roth.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. That's what I do, and I've recommended this to a lot of young people. Yep. And what I've noticed is I just get this glazed look.
By young, like, you mean under 30? Because we're 30.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
maybe 30 and under.
And I got this question has been
kidding.
burning this whole time. How old is Lucas?
Ooh, 22.
Lucas is 21.
Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you, Lucas. I'm old now.
Listen, Lucas's podcast should be posted next week, so you can go listen and learn all about Lucas.
Oh,
but
okay. That's what I'm talking about.
On the Roth IRA,
there's also another episode where I talk about how I'm going to smoke him in this 90-day
so
challenge.
that would be the one that posts the week after that. So make sure you listen to that too. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah,
cool. Is there betting on the?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see.
And we're still figuring out the dessert. We talked about the Cinnaholics afterwards.
Well,
can I just come partake in the dessert?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no doubt. Lucas will pay for you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
all right.
He's going to pay for everybody that comes. I'm going to bring my wife, my mom, my sister. My sister has 5 kids. Her husband. Everybody's coming. Lucas is going to pay for it all.
So +1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes, please.
They have a dog.
Your dog.
Your dog can
Got
come.
Pets.
Yeah. Co-workers.
Lucas, they must be paying you good here.
Lucas is like, wait, you guys are getting paid?
OTG Productions at its finest. I love it.
Oh, goodness.
Don't worry, he'll be broke after dinner. Okay.
All right.
Man.
Roth.
All right. So this is obviously not for Lucas. He's not going to be able to invest if he's paying for it. I'm done. Lucas, I'm sorry. You seem like a very nice guy. I'm going to stop busting your chops.
So look, the Roth IRA thing, because I've given this advice to a lot of young people.
Yes.
And I get this glazed over look. Right. They don't know what a Roth IRA is.
Yeah.
They don't know about, you mentioned the $6,000. Mm-hmm. What is a Roth IRA and how do I do it?
So I guess the best way to explain it, I want to compare it because people know what a 401k is and they, I'm pretty sure they know what an IRA is. So usually when you talk about, air quote, I'm on video. Okay. So tax qualified money, that's going to be a 401k, IRA, something like that. So an IRA, a traditional IRA, that is something that you can put money into and you get a tax deduction. For example, $6,000, if you're under 50, that's the most you can put in 2022. So if I had $100,000 and I invested $6,000 into a traditional IRA, I would get a tax deduction and I would actually get $94,000 would be my taxable income for 2022. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So then I get a tax deduction. However, that money that I put in, I've never paid taxes on, right? Because I didn't pay for 2022. So it's just sitting there. So I defer taxes, but that entire account, earnings and contributions are going to be taxed at some point. So whenever you decide to retire, our tax brackets probably aren't going to change that much. And honestly, we don't know what the tax brackets are going to be in the future. So you're kind of betting that tax brackets are going to be lower or that you're going to be in a lower tax bracket whenever you make the distribution. So there's a lot of I don't want to say gambling, but there's a lot of gambling going on, right? Now with the Roth IRA, what you're doing is same scenario, $100,000. I'm investing $6,000 into a Roth IRA. Now, what that means is I don't get the tax deduction, so I'm still paying $100,000. Taxable income is $100,000 for 2022, but that $6,000 has already been taxed, right?
Yeah.
I paid for it. I got tax on it on today's tax rates, which are very low, by the way.
Right.
Historically, they're very low. So I'd rather do that and have all my earnings grow tax free.
Yeah.
Right. So does that make sense? So that if you are putting any contributions into a Roth IRA, if you don't pull anything out until 59 and a half, all that money is 100% tax free, never goes to the government. All the earnings never go to the government. Your contributions do, but the earnings do not. So, I mean, it's a no brainer.
Yeah.
And again, I can keep going talking about.
How do you open an account like this?
So you can open up an account easily. You can do it yourself. The thing that I think a lot of people get confused about is a Roth IRA is not an
investment.
Yes.
That's the same thing I've seen. People think that it's an investment.
Yes.
It's an account type.
Exactly.
And then you invest within the account type.
So the Roth IRA, the traditional IRA, the brokerage account, the the 401k, that is the vehicle. Mm-hmm. The actual underlining funds that you're investing in is the engine of the vehicle. So a Roth IRA is something you don't invest in. You don't buy or sell a Roth IRA. You get a Roth IRA, and then you buy funds and you sell funds within the Roth IRA. So, I mean, anyone can do it. You can honestly probably find it on TV. You can talk to Sharon McKinley Group and we can tell you and get you one set up, right? But
rock and roll.
There you go. So Roth IRA, that's a really big, it's funny. Actually, I want to start a segment. I'm stealing this from somebody, but broth and Roth conversation. You have some broth, maybe a little pho.
A little bit of pho.
I thought you said broth like by accident.
Broth and Roth.
So you're going to have a whole podcast called Broth and Roth.
No, there's not really a lot more I can talk about Roth IRA. So very short podcast. But even from the legacy standpoint of that, and this will kind of be the last thing I say, there's been a lot of rules that have changed. So with IRAs, just in general, 401ks too, whenever someone passes away, so let's say that, you and your wife, you have one kid, right? Mm-hmm. You both combined have two Roth IRAs that combined have $1 million in it. Mm-hmm. So in a Roth IRA, that's tax-free. So whenever you pass away, that's basically I don't want to say life insurance, it's not, but it's a tax-free death benefit. I'm saying that in air quotes.
Yeah.
Death benefit that goes to your kids. So now your kids get $1 million that they don't pay any taxes on.
Yeah.
They just get that. If you were to pass away with a traditional IRA with $1 million in it,
or a 401k,
with $1 million, then your kid would have to inherit this $1 million. They'd have to pay taxes over $1 million. Now, a big rule change back in 2019, the Secure Act that passed, I think it was like December 21st, 22nd of 2019. In 2020 and on, if you pass away with an IRA, if you're young, if you're a kid, basically, and there's very few people who can meet there's some
specifications.
That's what is it called? Whenever, oh my gosh, what's the word? Whenever you
Lucas, what's the word?
If you
inherit?
No, you qualify. Okay, you can qualify, or then you can be
disqualified.
Exemption. There we go. Exemption is the word. Okay, got it. Lucas was exemption. Lucas was taking
He's genius.
Exemption.
I was distracted. He was taking his shirt off and waving it. So
Yeah.
Whoa!
I was confused.
Lucas doesn't have a lot of clothes on over there.
No, so with the traditional IRA now, if you don't meet the exemption, you're younger than 10 years of your parents, if they both pass away, you have to pull out $1 million within 10 years. You can't, and if you wait till after 10 years, then there's a penalty. So that means that you have to take out $1 million in 10 years, so $100,000 a year if you break it up that way, assuming there's no loss or gain in the portfolio. So now not only are you adding $100,000 of taxable income to your income, but you're also probably at the place, again, assuming your parents died at old age, you were probably in your highest earning years.
Yeah.
So now you're adding more money, which probably jumps you up to it potentially could be at a higher tax bracket. So there's a lot of legacy planning that you also want to talk about when you're setting up accounts, because you could be leaving your kid. Now, granted, they're going to be happy to get $1 million, but if they're, let's say they're taxed at 30-40%, so they get 600,000, 700,000 of that when they could get $1 million, right? So it's just like having those conversations and really understanding not just from your retirement, but also from a legacy spot where your kids can inherit something that, they can do stuff with
maximize the benefits.
Exactly.
Whoever gets it, whether it's you or your kids or their kids, maximize, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you want whoever you're passing it on to or for yourself to have the most money that you can have.
Yeah, and that was probably more information than you wanted about Roths, but
no, not at all. That's exactly what I was looking for. Great job,
roll.
Colton.
Yeah.
We can snip that out and have a whole hour and a half Roth podcast, and then also everything else on either side of that. Okay, Lucas? No, rock and roll.
No,
man.
that was perfect. Seriously, because a lot of times, I've given that exact advice to a lot of people, and it's just like, This is what I get. Like Roth Ira.
Honestly, though, it's like if you just Google it, I think it would take you maybe 30 minutes to kind of understand.
And I think that is a big barrier as well to finding achievement or being successful in a lot of things is actually, if you don't understand something, take the time to figure it out.
Ask questions, man.
Yeah, you can ask Google, ask YouTube.
Google machine. YouTube's my friend.
Yeah.
With the American flag behind me, I feel like I have to say, I think that's probably the problem with half our country is they just take what they hear for what it is and they don't actually do their own research.
That's
right.
A huge problem.
Yeah. We did a whole podcast on not doing stuff. Do your own research and don't take everything at face value.
Yeah, we did.
I remember what episode was it, Lucas?
I don't know.
He'll snip it in.
7.
Man, so Colton, dude, it's been great having you, man. This has been a really fun show, dude. It really has. You know who Trey Kennedy is?
I do. That's where I got it from.
That's who you look like.
Oh, well, that's actually who I stole the broth from Roth thing from. That's why.
Really?
I couldn't remember his name until you just said it.
I don't know who that is.
That is
Trey Kennedy. You know who that comedian is? Bro, this guy looks just like him. Lucas, can we put a picture of Trey Kennedy next to Colton?
I'm looking it up right now
for the viewers at home. Yeah, look. Oh, look, he looks just like him. Trey Kennedy on Instagram.
That is so bizarre. I was trying to remember.
By the way,
his
he's
name.
very handsome.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you.
And very funny.
Actually,
I see it.
So the worst.
What do you mean you see it? They're twins.
The worst compliment. Actually, I am. You would do the girl voice. No. So the worst compliment I think I've ever gotten in my life wasn't Trey Kennedy,
Worst
that's kind of like an oxymoron. Is that the word?
I know, but just
that's a niche synergy.
You'll understand. You'll understand. So I get a lot that I look like Captain America, right?
Oh, okay.
I get that.
I can see that.
Him too.
I had somebody. There was the first time I ever heard that. I think it was a girl came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, you look just like Captain America." I'm like, "Thanks." And she goes, "Before he was Captain America."
Whoever that girl is, I like you.
I was so offended.
You know, like before he got in the chamber and stuff.
Before he was handsome, before he was jacked, before he was anything special at all.
I mean, he had heart. Okay.
Yeah, that guy had some heart. God, that's funny, dude.
I'll take it as a compliment, but again, the worst compliment I ever got in my life.
Yeah. Okay,
like,
now it makes sense.
You look like somebody handsome, but the really ugly version of that person. That's what you look like.
You know Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Yeah, the opposite.
Yeah. You look like him with a different face and not jacked.
Oh, man.
Oh, goodness. Gosh. Man, Colton, it's been good having you. This has been fun, dude.
Absolutely.
So let's wrap this one up. Colton, where do people find you, man? Where do you want them to look you up? We're going to put this in the show notes too, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me. Our number is 281-992-5698. And you can find us on, we don't do a lot of social media, which we should, but you can get us on our website, Share McKinley, SharerMcKinley.com, and that will give you all the information that you need.
Rock and roll. What about a personal Instagram? Do you do that, or
I really don't.
care?
I'll get on every once in a while. I'll look at y'all's videos, which Lucas, shout out, great job.
Yeah.
Great content. And
One perfect shot. .net.
Yeah, and so I really just get on looking at this stuff. I don't really post. I should, but I just don't, I don't have a desire.
Well, what I've noticed, in business, you find what works for you, and you focus on that thing.
If you want to grow your social media, though, I know a guy.
Really?
That
Lucas.
can help you.
Lucas.
OTG _Lucas. _perfect shot on Instagram. But yeah, guys. So y'all got his number. Y'all got his website. Seriously though, if you need some financial advice or there was a long time in my adult life that getting to the point where I even was considering saving money or thinking about my future. But now that I have done that over the past several years, I realize how important it is. And man, to take the guesswork out of it right at the beginning, or really, at any point, right? You want to take the guesswork out. That's very important. And that's what Colton does, y'all. And that's what Phil does with fitness, man. He takes the guesswork out of it. And that's what OTG Lucas does with growing your social media and creating your content and producing everything. He takes the guesswork out of it, man.
And I will say, if I could say one last thing, just like working out.
You can say 100 last things.
It's creating, this is the open banter section.
Yeah.
Portion.
Says it right here on bullet point number 6.
That's what I thought. Okay, so the last thing that I would say is it's creating the habit. So whether it's, putting away, $50 a month, right?
Or
into
some
something.
percentage or
right. Yeah. Something small to get started, to kind of get your feet wet. Same thing with working out, something small, like just trying to do simple habit. I think it's all about forming that habit to really get it done. And again, I think that health and fitness are a lot, or fitness and wealth are a lot in that regard. So
they correlate, man.
They do.
They go hand in hand, especially for me. And I thought it was, I was feeling that for a long time, and I thought it was kind of weird. I thought that I was like, nobody else was feeling that. And then my wife was like, and she told me, and then Phil was like, me too. And then we had this big conversation about it. So get serious about your fitness, y'all. Get serious about your finances. Hit up my man Colton. Hit up my man Phil. Hit up my man OTG_Lucas. And yeah, guys, this has been a fun one. Be sure to like, subscribe, and check us out, man. Come to the gym. And that's all we got for today. Thanks.